Hello and welcome to the movie Backtrack. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do and turn on the notification bell for more movie updates. Also comment down below to be featured on our next video. Just comment a movie recommendation you want to be backtracked. For this backtrack, it is based on a true story. Grace, an aspiring model, is overjoyed to have Hunter Kelly, a fashion photographer, assist her in launching her career. Grace must find a way to flee before she becomes Hunter's next model murder victim when the picture shoot turns into a kidnapping, revealing Hunter's true intentions to use Grace as his next star on a seductive website. We begin in the woods, where a redhead woman, in a jumpsuit, is fleeing from something. The individual gets up to them and uses a needle to stab them in the neck. Following that, we see a sketchy photographer working with Grace, a lousy model with a middle part. He informs Grace that if she wants to advance in this field, she needs to take chances and display more skin. Grace is uneasy, but she removes her jacket and continues modeling. Then photographer demands that she remove her top, and she draws the line and exits the shoot. Grace goes to a diner and talks to Matt, her boyfriend. She goes through some exposition about being a military brat and is emotionally distant. She is also obsessed with fashion magazines and will be skipping college to be a full-time model. Her mom, who works at the diner, doesn't want her daughter to throw away the opportunity of college for something millions of girls try and fails at. Grace's mother may be correct, since she continues to be rejected until she discovers it. And fill out an application at www.modelmatchup.com. She believes it's too good to be true, but she gets a call from Hunter Kelly, the website's owner, who is very interested. She requests that he send her some of his work, and she is blown away by the prospect. Grace gathers her belongings and departs without saying anything to anyone. She simply abandons the situation. She simply writes a note to her mother and texts her boyfriend. When she gets to Miami, Nicole, Hunter's former drug addict aide, picks Grace up. The studio is located in the middle of nowhere, an hour outside of town. Grace should be nervous. She doesn't have cell service. But once she sees the mansion and Hunter Kelly, who has a nut allergy, she's fine. Nicole frightens him by bringing a payday into the house. Hunter Kelly sends Nicole away, and Grace and he enjoy a glass of wine and a meal together. Hunter lets Grace remain in his guest house when it gets late. It's more like a single room with a bed and a massive television. Grace begs him to check his ride-sharing app to make sure she won't be able to get a ride back into town, but he says no cars are available. He walks out the door and urges her to close it behind him. Grace learns she is missing her bags and rushes after Hunter Kelly, only to be halted when she discovers she is locked in the room. Grace checks her phone and sees that she still doesn't have service, so she goes to the window and slams it shut while Hunter walks away. Grace then retrieves the house phone and dials 911, but the call is answered by Hunter. Grace spends the entire back at home. Matt and Grace's mother are going through her belongings for clues as to where she might be. Hunter Kelly returns the next morning to tell Grace that she isn't going anywhere and that he has big plans for them. Grace will be known as Lonely College Girl on a webcam adult site. Grace's mother and boyfriend are under his surveillance, and he promises to keep them safe provided she does as he says. Hunter then takes over Grace's social media accounts and begins grooming her into an adult star. Grace's mother and boyfriend are relieved to find she is still alive, but they don't understand why she won't return their calls. Matt, the boyfriend, receives a text from Hunter, in which Grace declares her love for him. He is aware that it is not she who is texting. That's something she'd never tell him. Grace is dressed as a cheerleader on her first webcam appearance, with Hunter and Nicole guiding her through an earpiece. Grace follows along for a while before screaming at the camera for assistance. She ticked off Hunter more than anything because the live stream was turned off and on a delay. Hunter informs Grace that attempting to flee is futile because the windows are bomb-proof. Grace is dressed as a hot librarian for the second webcam show. Grace is now swaying her hips and lying on the bed, as though she is okay with it. We see a montage of her dancing, and she has a 500,000-strong fan base. Except Nicole, who is envious of sexy Grace. Nicole enters Grace's room and informs him that he is seducing her man. They brawl, but Hunter arrives just in time to save Grace from Nicole's assassination. Grace gives Hunter a kiss and promises that she would never abandon him. After 2 weeks, Matt and Grace's mother head to the Miami police station, who recognize it as a police station due to a mug bearing the words Miami Police, and, surprise, surprise, they couldn't care less. Grace isn't missing, She's a well-known webcam model. The cop, I'm sure, is one of her subscribers. Hunter's feelings for Grace are growing stronger. He buys her a fancy dress, lets her out of her room, and the two of them toast each other with champagne. All the while, Nicole, who is watching on the webcam, is fuming. Grace eats breakfast in bed and enjoys life to the fullest. She also makes suggestions to Hunter, such as being a sultry art student. Hunter takes Grace shopping at gunpoint because things are going well between them. Grace pricks her finger and writes assistance on the mirror in a dressing room while trying on outfits. Hunter apprehends her and drags her from the store, but not before she swipes something to make it appear as if they are stealing. The shopkeeper pursues them, but Hunter manages to scare her away. The website is discovered by Matt's friend, who sees Nicole flogging Grace on video. He shows Matt, and they're going to track down Grace's IP address. Hunter demands Grace contact him and tell him it's done when Matt texts her. She tells Matt that she loves him before hanging up. He is well aware that she is lying and promises to track her down. Hunter also intends to assassinate Matt. When Nicole is flogging Grace, she learns that Hunter has been murdering webcam models. I'm not sure what Nicole thought happened to the webcam girls after they departed, but I'm pretty sure she assumed they moved to a farm. Hunter approaches Nicole, telling her to shut talking or she'll end up like them. Grace's mother contacts the police again, requesting that the computer people assigned to the case investigate the location of the website. Matt appears, and he is not yet dead. Grace is not missing, according to the authorities, and is only an adult star. There isn't much they can do about it. Grace has gotten back on track and has promised to go all out for the webcam, where she works as a sensual artist. She paints her body. Grace sets off the fire alarm in the bathroom later that night with the help of paint fumes. Hunter comes to Grace's aid when the alarm goes off. She stabs him in the eye with a stiletto as he turns the corner and dashes into the home to contact 911. This time for real, Hunter comes to a halt in front of her and leads her back to her room. When the cops arrive, Hunter is wearing a gauze pad over his eye. Hunter is questioned by a cop who takes a look around. Grace is slamming the windows in the guest house shut, but it's not working. Before he can enter the guest house, the cop gets another call and has to depart. Matt is struck with a shovel and then tied up after only a few minutes on the premises. Grace recalls Hunter's nut allergy and the fact that he lives in a payday. Hunter is then put into anaphylactic shock after she makes out with him. Grace and Matt rush to the finish line, as Nicole and Hunter fight over an EpiPen. Hunter murders Nicole, but she throws his EpiPen down the garbage disposal. Grace and her mother are relaxing on the beach a year later. And she has Grace the cover of a magazine. As the camera pans towards the shore, Matt appears and they tell each other they love each other. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe and like this backtrack. Be sure to comment down a movie and get a chance to be featured on our next backtrack.